I'll do an update in the next couple of weeks, as it does look like stagflation is going to be the winner for this year, especially if we continue with this tariff stuff. So let's wrap it up with gold and metals. So we have been showing in the beginning of April, when everybody started talking about gold, that it was starting to get, that it was starting to get parabolic, that the relative strength looked like it was topping out. So we started selling our gold. So we went into April and May selling our gold, keeping our silver. And so now in April 25th, at the end of April, when I did our event, What to Watch For in May, we have this small correction that started. I said there's a potential that if that correction stops there, that you could have this like uber trend, parabolic move. And I said, but it's probably less likely. And then I also pointed out that there's this long-term support, what we would call reversion to the mean. So the market, the gold market, could correct all the way back down to that level and still be generally bullish in the long run. So when you're this far away from this big support, I tell people tread lightly. So what ended up happening since then is 2 weeks ago, I showed you that super uber bull line didn't hold, so it was less likely that you're going to get a parabolic move. The last week, as you can see here, the market did something funny. Is it rallied back and back tested that super uber bullish line. Really, really mean. It probably sucked in a lot of people that thought this was going, parabolic, and then reverses course and does this little undercut. This is really interesting because as that happened, the relative strength dropped. And so next week, what I'm watching for is that, so it's interesting that it broke and came back. So next week, what I'm going to be watching for is, does gold pivot from here? Like, was this week's lows something that was investable or tradable off of? And what I would want to see is early next week, Monday, Tuesday, I'd like to see if gold can start to move higher. It needs to hold the lows it made this week or today. And while that's happening, does this RSI around this 50 level start to pivot back up? Because if that were to happen, that'd be a pretty positive sign. And if you're a trader or an investor, maybe next week you could take a little bit of a stab. So I'm going to get into that in a second. So silver, we showed you last or 2 weeks ago that it might have better risk return because its corrections have been sideways and it really hasn't gotten parabolic. So I was waiting to see what would happen here in the RSI and if this could continue to trade sideways or with a little tilt up. So here's the chart as of today. Here's that line of support. The next tell, and we have held this week, it did kind of what we wanted it to. And so next week is if gold does pivot higher, does silver go with it? Most likely it would. And does this RSI get above 50? If I saw those things, then I might add to my silver positions. I might try and take a quick stab at a trade in gold if I had the right risk metrics. So this is not trading advice. I'm just telling you that some things I might do if I see the right setup. So what does it mean for you if you're a Quiver client, if you're managing your own portfolio? Well, traders, if you're just getting in and out of gold, like you're just trying to make a quick buck, next week's worth watching because next week you might have a setup where if you know how to trade, if you're a scalper or somebody like that, you might have an interesting setup if it fits your parameters. If you're an investor and you're looking to add to your investment in gold or you're looking to start an investment in gold, and if you're truly patient and you're truly long-term and you can truly handle the risk, so if you fit all those matters, then next week, if we do all the things I just told you, if the gold holds this week's lows, starts to pivot higher, RSI moves with it, then you could take a stab at adding to a position or starting a small allocation. Just do it small and be willing to add more if you're too early. Because in investing, being too early is the same as being wrong. I also still think that silver may offer a better risk reward metric. And I do think, if gold does have another pop higher, yeah, I think you'll see a short squeeze in silver and could be a little more robust than what you see in gold. So those are my thoughts on that, folks. If all of this was helpful, please give us a like. Please subscribe.